All right, Billy behind the scenes. I got a question for you.
Lay it on me.
How many motorcycle deaths in Ontario over the last 10 years, do you think? Putting you on the spot here.
In the last 10 years, Billy.
Last 10 years.
Over
Just
the
in
last 10
Ontario.
years.
Just in Ontario.
Yeah.
Just a wild guess.
It's going to be a pretty wild guess.
I don't want to give you a baseline
I'll
to influence.
say maybe, I'm just kind of throwing out a number there, but I'll say 3,500.
That's not a bad guess, actually.
Actually, wow. That's
It's kind of funny that you guessed that.
the numbers are interesting what you guess, for sure.
Yeah, so an OPP study of accidents that cost close to 350 motorcyclists their lives over the last 10 years points to rider error as the majority cause in a lot of cases. So about 350, Billy. So
350.
you're off by about 10 times,
So I was just off by a 0.
but you were just off by a 0. So that's actually pretty cool. You had the two numbers correct. That's actually pretty. How did you come up with that number? Was it just in your brain?
Well, I just went, how many days in a year is there an accident?
That makes sense.
You know, okay, 3, 6, 7. Like, one a day is pretty ridiculously high. So
Well, that's, I mean,
it's 1 in 10 days, basically.
well, this is another interesting addendum to that, is that over 10 years, 60% of the time, well, it's actually close to 61% of the time, the motorcyclists who died were at fault. Which, if you do the math, means 39% of the time they were not at fault. It was the fault of other drivers, which stood out to me. It surprised me because when I think of motorcycling, I would think almost all the time it's their fault. Because I think of dying on the motorcycle as reckless. Maybe they're doing something reckless, high speeds, weaving in and out of traffic. I just saw that over the weekend.
I did too.
I was
Maybe
like,
it was the
wow.
same guy on the same highway.
Maybe.
He was barreling down.
A couple guys, actually. Yeah.
Wow.
And I thought, I connect that with, because let's be honest, like it's 350 over 10 years. It's not everyone who gets on a motorcycle that's going to die.
No.
So you would think, okay, well, think of the extremes. Who are the people at the extremes? And I immediately jump to people that are being like reckless or doing crazy things.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just not the case. So it says only 60.7% of the time they're the one at fault, which is almost half.
Mm-hmm.
So really what that says to me is there's probably not a whole lot of correlation between like being a crazy motorcycle driver and being the ones that die.
Yeah, I know.
Because almost half the time it's not your fault.
But I always thought, like, I got in a little bit of a, not an accident when I was driving motorbike when I was a teenager, but I got on some gravel and I wasn't sure how to navigate, and the motorcycle just kept going out, and I felt out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, I had a bit of an apprehension of getting on a bike. And the more I think about it, how vulnerable you are. Now, a lot of people love the freedom. They love
Sure.
that exhilaration of going fast, and it's just you and the air is, going by you so quickly, but you're vulnerable. I mean, if you hit one, I always thought if there's like a stone, a rock that kind of gets thrown off by a transport or whatever onto the middle of the road and you just happen to hit it.
Yep.
Like, it's just so risky to me.
It is. And there's no fender
Sure.
benders. It's like
No.
if you're in a vehicle, a car,
gonna be trouble.
it's just
Yeah.
might be nothing. But if it's a bike, well, it could be
Yeah. But again, I was surprised. I thought the deaths would be higher as well. Like Billy
You guessed
said,
higher as well.
3,500. It was
That seems
350.
reasonable.
So I don't know. He was
So yeah, it's about 35 per year.
35 per year. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty consistent. Like from what I can tell, it's like each year there are going to be roughly 35 people. It's not like some years there are like 2,000 and some years there's 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is pretty, for a random variable. It's pretty
And
interesting.
just
And a
don't-
province as big as Ontario, it's
Yeah, exactly.
crazy that it's that predictable. So back to this. So OPP are reminding motorcyclists and drivers to share the road responsibly.
Yes.
Observe the speed limits.
I think
You don't
so.
agree
I
with
think
that one?
that's-
Okay.
Sure.
Keeping alcohol, drugs, and distractions off the road.
That's true. Yeah, I
So
would
you
agree.
can follow the OPP through social media, though I have no idea why you'd want to.
I don't know. I follow them.
You do?
I follow Sudbury Regional Police, maybe not so much the OPP, but
For the same reason you follow people you don't like?
no,
Or you do like them?
No, I do. Well, I don't know. Like is, whether or not I like. I like the fact that they put up stories of things that they are following
I
or
see.
concerned with or looking into, right? So I like
Kind
to
of
be
the Donald Trump on Twitter attitude.
kind of thing.
You don't like him, you just want to see what he says.
I don't know. Again, I like the fact that they're there to keep us safe, and they definitely have a place in our society, a very positive place to keep law and order. And the fact that like we shared about people that are missing, people that are getting arrested because they're possibly going around shooting people or whatever. I really appreciate the police for that, right? So
Oh, it's a lot of negativity, but
yeah, but again, right? It's one of those things in our world. It's one of those necessities.
it's going to
I think
happen. Yep.
you just can't avoid it.
So the last thing on this before we move on, it says the data is a stark reminder there can be zero risks and errors on the part of motorcyclists, that even the most defensive drivers, safest drivers, must rely on nearby motorists exercising the same degree of safety in order to avoid causing a deadly crash.
Definitely.
That was from Sergeant Paul Beaton of the OPP.
Yeah, and they would see a lot more the OPP than we would in the city, right? Because of the speeds
Yes.
going on
Yeah,
highways.
On the highways, yep.
Definitely. So they would be the ones that would be more concerned. And yeah,
Can I just say, Beaton is an unfortunate name for an OPP officer.
I think so. Yeah.
Just sounds like something you don't want associated with police.
You don't want to get
But I'm sure he's a great guy.
get a beaten.
Yeah, Beaton.
So
It's easy to remember, too, if something bad happens.
Hey, AJ here. Did you like that video? Please like and subscribe for more. Just like it every weekday.
Share it with your friends so they can stay up to date with all Sudbury news.